Okay, there we go. Welcome back. Doing a little bit of a different camera angle. Trying to get everything set up. I do apologize last week. Apparently the videos didn't come through. They were causing a lot of feedback. I've been trying to work with these little mics and with filters, things like that. Hopefully it's a little bit better because we're going to watch a lot of videos just to make up for last week. But as we go, we get more equipment. But hey, I'm Menace, by the way.
I'm Donnie.
We're here to this time. We're going to talk about training. Why is it important? How to maybe a little bit about how to go about it, things of that nature. But first, we got to talk about our sponsor. We have one sponsor that would be where we work, Bishop Gun Barn, because they're awesome. Let me transition over there. BishopGunBarn.com. This website makes it so you can get all kinds of things, way more than firearms. I don't think you can actually order one of our custom guns. You'll just have to call us, which the phone number's on the top left there, 208-233-3912. We're located here in Pocatello, Idaho. The bonus is, if you have us build a custom gun, it's going to be one of us two building it. So you can yell at us on our next live stream if something doesn't go right. But we do warranty our stuff. I guess you'll have to get one built to find out everything on that area. Beyond that, we've got everything for firearms, ammunition, to even archery, gifts, novelty, camping, accessories. It is an endless selection. Have you used much of that?
Yeah, I have actually. Website's pretty intuitive overall, and I've really enjoyed using it, especially because of the fact that, if you order something from us, it's just like buying it in the store, and you can save yourself a little bit of money that way. You don't have to pay the extra transfer fee or...
That is a bonus, especially if you live nearby. So, all right, well, back to us here. I know you're so excited to see us again, but here we are. We are going to talk again about the training and where to start. Where do you think we should start on that one?
Compilation video.
All right. Well, maybe that's what we will start with then. Now I'm recording. All right.
What not to do.
Pretty much. And that is not the video I wanted. So I apologize, guys. I am trying to get this set up and I went to the wrong spot. Remember what I was talking about earlier?
Bear with us. We're dialing it in.
Trying to do live video and you don't have a third person in the background kind of helping guide you or do this type stuff can get a little tricky, especially on the way all this works. But so I'm just getting that set up right now and we can transition over to our, well, I guess blue screen.
Very movie theater.
There you go. Now this is just going to be a compilation of people doing stuff they shouldn't be, and we're going to kind of talk as we go. Got to have our drinks with us, though, of course, especially for, like, why would you hold a shotgun like that? It's a pistol. Hold it farther out.
500 rail.
What I want to know is why is he in his closet?
Well, maybe it's time to come out. This one kind of gets me. It's one of those things where you can tell he knows that's not the sturdiest spot. But, because I've watched this one in the past. Yeah.
I spit my drink a little.
And, yeah. Note the stuff, this guy, nothing he does makes any sense. Like, he racks it. I can't tell. The video quality sucks if another round comes out. But why? You get a light strike. That's not going to tell you anything. And
Free scalping.
He pulled a Bugs Bunny move there and survived somehow. And most cannons like this are more like on wheels, not in giant grips like that. May have added a little bit too much powder, just saying. But hey, don't talk about it.
Hey, he's still got all those fingers.
After you, man.
What?
And this is why frat boys are not allowed at the ranch.
Go.
Delta
First thing
Sigma,
you gotta
ow my
remember,
eye.
always be safe with a gun. That fool lane shit, I ain't with it. Sending shots at your fitted. Swag, bitch.
Less times doing sit-ups, more time trying to...
Keep going. All right, there you go. Put on safe for safe.
That one, as stupid as it seems like her being,
I don't know
I've
how to
actually
do
been in
it.
that spot where you're trying to teach somebody and they don't understand that factor, and that is a friend screwing you over.
Yeah, he was set up for that one.
And I've seen stuff like that at basics. So, and I've done this dance. Pretty sure I might have a scar right on the track. Exactly how he's grabbing his butt. Those guns don't kick that hard. I don't know how that happened.
Third world country training.
Ooh, and I can't tell if that was a seven or not, but you can see blood on his shoe. Well, that's one way to lose your firearm.
Hey, this guy again. It was so good.
Oh, it was on there twice, huh? Didn't even notice that.
I'm afraid. Come on! Pull the trigger.
This is not gonna go well.
Oh, shit!
Alright. We'll add a little bit of us in the bottom corner here.
Oh my god.
1, 2, 3. Man's land. That didn't work.
Just goes back like nothing happened.
Hey, you know those pistols, much safer if you shoot it like that. But hey, you know, you put an actual stock on the back of that, and now it's illegal. That's a movie only do once in your life, but you will do it when you shoot the bigger calibers.
Oh yeah.
This one, I have no idea what happened. Other than I would have reacted the exact same way.
Yeah, I don't think that one was a safety violation.
Wait, where were we watching videos? What's going on here?
I think this clip just has a few of them cycled in.
Yeah, because that's not it either. I did edit some stuff and everything else. Apparently, I kind of missed that factor because I really haven't watched these. I was kind of trying to see it with you guys. But,
Genuine reactions.
hey, you know, those two clips right there make me very glad we make our own giant freaking calibers. That, you know, push the 70,000 PSI on a regular basis, and we shoot them 100, 200, 300 times, because nothing like that could ever happen.
Is quality control a weapon safety rule? Find out here.
If we do a live show and we have scars and bandages on, our quality control went downhill. 'Cause what these guys are shooting are nothing compared to what we built. Even a 12 gauge. You know, those and shockwaves, stuff like that, I found it's actually just better shoot.
Alright, go for it.
You fuck around
Ooh.
and find out.
He almost got a Darwin Award there.
Hey, both hands on the gun.
See,
Hot brass, hot brass.
that one I would be kind of pissed. You just dropped my firearm. So, back to us. But, one key takeaway of pretty much every single thing we watched there, what would that be?
Get better training.
Not only that, just the basics. Like,
Mhm.
there's not a single video there of one person that followed all the basic rules.
Well, I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss too is like, you know, in order to have a injury with a firearm, you have to multiple of the 4 main steps.
What are those steps?
Acronym I like to use is KEEP, never treat, treat. It's always keep your finger off your weapon until you're ready to fire, off the trigger, sorry. Never point your weapon at anything you don't intend to destroy. Treat every weapon as if it is loaded. And treat every firearm as... Nope, I had a brain fart.
Treat every firearm as if it's loaded, but see, now I was listening to you, and I'm trying.
Treat, never, keep. There we go. Treat every weapon as if it's loaded. Never point your weapon at anything you don't
Oh,
intend
wow.
to fire. Keep your finger straight and pointed off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Keep every weapon pointed in a safe direction.
And see, the only caveat on that would be make sure you know what's not only in front of your target, but what's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got confused.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, we teach people. So the biggest thing about, like, it's an area, especially on the government side, that drives me nuts. Because at one time in our, you know, lives, like even at high school, they used to have like 22 competitions in the gym.
Mhm.
Everybody had a gun in their rear window. Like, guns were normal. Like, it was no big deal. How many mass shootings did we have back then? Hardly any. Like, if any. Like, it's crazy how that works, right? We get away from them. We teach fear of guns. We kind of, like, if you really want people to be safer with a firearm, do some free trainings. And I wish we could provide a free training, but I know people that could, with, of course, a little bit of our money, which
Mhm.
would be the government side. And I know there is options out there. Like, we have a lot of people come into our store and they're very nervous. They want a firearm. They want to be able to defend themselves. But I mean, they really, you can't. Like, somebody breaks into your house. All right, you call 911. What are you going to do for 10, 15 minutes, the average time frame across the board? I know what I'll do. But if you don't own a firearm or you don't have a plan of any way whatsoever, you're stuck there with some guy going through your house. What if your family's there, your kids, things of that nature? What if it's just you by yourself, 18-year-old college student type thing? And at the same time, as I say that, let's make it clear, I'm not saying you're going to go all spec ops and clear your house because you heard a noise upstairs. No, you call, you get the authorities there, they're better trained, better prepped overall. But during that time frame, you make sure that you, as you're hidden, if a threat is heading your way, you can see them coming before they see you. It's that concept. If you can run, do it. Like, why fight if you don't have to? Just because you have been trained and everything else, we're not talking about military side. Like, yeah, you're trained to do a mission. Your mission is to take them. That's a whole different thing. When you're at your house, like for me, us in my basement area is where we sleep. We have a dog, everything else. And truth is, he's a big old hound, and if the thunder keeps going, you're going to hear him a little bit. But I'm going to close the door where he's at. He's going to bark and be mad and want to go after whoever's in my house, but I'm going to stay downstairs. Number one, that's a great funnel. You come down the stairs, I'm seeing your feet and ankles way before you even know I'm there. So that is the best way to protect myself. But now, my other two kids, when they are in town and visiting me, I have older kids. If they're upstairs, that changes everything in my perspective because they're the ones dealing with the bad guy. No, I'm the dad. That's my job. So I'm going to go probably confront them. Don't want to. Going to have the wife be calling. She's going to probably stay downstairs to protect the dog and kid and all that kind of stuff that's downstairs. But I will go upstairs. That's where training comes in. You're going to want to have some. You're not just going to bum rush somebody because maybe they only have a knife, maybe they have a fist. If they only have a knife and you have a gun, you would think, oh, I just win. You'll be shocked how fast somebody can close the distance of 4 or 5 feet. And you might get a bullet in them. They're not going to feel it until you're on the ground too with a knife in you. So it is all about that training and getting that. You want the surprise, and there's all kinds of tactics, and they're changing all the time too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
me, I'm rusty. I haven't done a lot of that type training. I don't want to admit how long, actually, now when I think about it.
Oh, I only did law enforcement in 2021, and still, like, even some of the skills and stuff that I was trained during that time, and granted they were minimal, but still very rusty. And it's only been 3 years, so I mean, this is absolutely a degradable skill, and it's something that is important to keep in mind, that you should always keep up on that. And it's also important to keep in mind too that despite the modern taboo around firearms, firearms are a equalizer, awesome equalizer, you know, especially for people who might be at a physical disadvantage from any given situation that they might run into from a potential threat, right? But it is not an ultimate trump card. It's not well, I have a gun, I win. Sometimes you're going to run into that. I don't care that you've got a gun. So, especially if you start diving into the world of excited delirium and people that might be insane enough to break inside of your house in the middle of Idaho, of all places, that is probably one of the last places I would want to get into the burglary career, because it will not be a long-lived one. But
Well, there's even times where somebody gets a jump on you, and the last thing you want to do is actually draw the gun because now it's theirs type idea. I mean, as long as you don't even act like you have one, who knows? Maybe they slow down, stop, kind of take a step back, catching a breath for beating your ass. That's your chance. You end it there. But and maybe somebody's even robbing a store right next to you. But your angle, that's why you have to remember those safety, know what's behind you. If you're standing behind the guy robbing the cashier and the cashier's right in front, right on the other side of the guy, you're really going to shoot him? Now you may, this is where your own decision-making process comes in. You may draw your gun and let him know you have a gun, but if he turns quick, you're going to have to turn to one of the other sides, because your bullet, there's a good chance it either goes through them or you miss. And you'll be shocked no matter how many times you go to the range and practice. Don't get me wrong, that helps a hell of a lot. So imagine if you're not going to the range and practicing when I say this, but I learned this from when we were going overseas, stuff like that. And it was kind of across the board. Every person would say the same thing. Your first firefight, don't plan on hitting much at all. No matter how much you train and everything. Like if you're hitting groups like this, well, when you're in a firefight, now it's this. Now, if you haven't trained, you're already hitting groups like this. Imagine where you're hitting it. You might even shoot your own toe just trying to get the gun out of the holster type stuff would happen. Muscle memory is a thing as well. So don't think that, well, what's the point if I'm going to miss anyways? Well, no, the muscle memory helps to squeeze that in, helps to get you, no matter if you're petrified, scared, peeing your own pants type stuff, your instincts start to take over as long as you can keep training and you keep up to date. Just because you did it once 4 years ago, it doesn't mean you're good. So, and all kinds of new ideas, tactics, and versions of things come out that can help you in a lot of scenarios. Scenarios you would never thought of now are one of those, like, man, this happened quite a bit. You might want to, maybe I have to adjust a little bit how I'm looking at this scenario. And that's where, like, Counter-Strike in town, they have a simulator that has tons of scenarios. It's a good idea to go down and just practice. I did one in law enforcement training, and screaming at a screen is a little strange. It's kind of a lot like what we're doing now in a way, though.
Yeah,
that was years ago. So, but telling somebody on a screen to put their, hands up and go face down on the ground or let go of the hostage, and I can't remember how many scenarios I ran through, but it's well worth it just doing that. You feel stupid during that, but when you're scared, your body automatically goes to just what it knows. That's it. It's your instinct. That's where the instinct comes from, is that muscle memory.
Absolutely. I think that works perfectly to segue into like stuff like what Cold Lead is doing out there here in Pocatello too, where it's a lot more live.
More gun violence on the street.
Not necessarily screaming at a screen now. You're dealing with a live instructor who is there to mess you up and show you the different ways that you can learn and grow from certain mistakes. So I think that they're doing all kinds of cool different stuff out there, just here locally, let alone in the big cities.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's why it's important to get to know your local areas, but we'll get more into that in a little bit. Let's kind of segue into more, why do we train? We kind of hit on that already, but I don't know if you're going to catch on here soon. This whole episode is more about watching videos, reacting, kind of getting our own mindset of things that have happened, stuff of that nature. Well, let's just start with this one.
More gun violence on the streets of New York. A brazen shootout on a street in Bushwick, Brooklyn, caught on video.
This is during the
Happened just
pandemic, so
before
this
8
isn't that
Monday
long
night
ago. I
near
remember when
Hancock
this
Street and
happened,
Knickerbocker
actually.
Avenue. 3 people could be seen
But
in
notice
this
this
video
part.
pulling out
Like,
weapons.
oh, am I
4
shooting
were
you?
left
No,
with
and then the guy points a gun at him,
injuries.
so
No
then he
word
shoots
yet
him.
on any
Like,
arrests.
the guy in the black hoodie is very much okay. Wow, I forgot how quick of a video that one was.
I guess that
But
provides a good point too. That typically those situations are fast, very
Oh, yeah.
fast.
A brazen daytime robbery.
and I actually remember this one as well. So for those people that talk about guns and self-defense, by the way, just throwing that out there, yeah, it happens a lot. Maybe we can get into those numbers. They're kind of confusing. Anywhere from 300,000 up to what could be over 1 million, depending on.
Robbery attempt captured on
this
security
one's
video.
kinda
Look at
scary.
this. It happened near Melrose Avenue and Vista Street. This is in the Fairfax area. Investigators say 2 men got out of their car and confronted the person in the blue shirt, believing he was about to be robbed. That man pulled out a gun and fired. The would-be
Notice one
robbers
thing
went
about that
running,
one,
and police
though.
captured them soon
He
after.
Ran away.
Now the
Like, the guy
LAPD
in
is
the green
asking for
here
help in finding the person
Actually ran
with the blue
away
shirt.
while he was shooting. Oh, hey, we're apparently going to watch squirrel hunting. And we're back to Bishop Gun Barn because that's a good segue as I set up the next video. But staying and fighting, as cool as that seems and everything else, it's not. I don't know how else to put that. Like, it's if you
Find yourself in a gunfight, your self-defense has already pretty much failed, because there are so many steps that you can take before that instance to try to keep yourself out of that situation or get out of the situation entirely. And I think the kid in the video actually did a really good job of just getting the hell out of there. And as a civilian, especially, you know, a lot of us guys from the military, we all kind of have a mindset of, you know, we got to be there to help the community. We've got to go into the fight. And realistically, now that you're out, now that you've done your time, you don't have that responsibility. You don't have to stay and be the hero and all this other stuff. That's how you end up 6 feet deep, or somebody else that you care about severely injured or worse.
go back to us on that one, because that is a scary thing. Like, the whole point for why I know why I carry, it's not as much for me. I'm more worried about the people around me. Like, working with you, we work at a gun store, right? You're expected to be carrying. Guess what happens? If a bad guy wants to rob us, they're going to expect that we have guns then, and it's going to be an instantaneous there. And that has actually happened. The only reason why I bring that up, that is a thing. Like, an old couple and their granddaughter, I want to say it was in South Carolina. This is a little while ago. Don't quote me on it. But literally, they all got killed in a robbery, and it was instant. Even the granddaughter, who we're talking like 10, 12 years old, not even old enough to really going to be carrying. And they literally all got wiped out. And it was one of those things where there was a grudge, if I remember right, but he was there to steal money for the drugs and other things. Again, don't quote me on it. This was years ago. But there's numerous stories. I watched one video where a whole group of like 5 guys came in to rob a store, a gun store. Luckily, of course, the employees were not just armed, but trained. They were able to shoot and get them out of there. But that one was that was crazy. That was a whole-on gunfight with a few other customers in the store who all took cover. It's scary. Like, it's not. We do live in a small town. We don't have things like that happening. But I did do a lot of ride-alongs with police and stuff when I was doing the law enforcement program in this area. I was still shocked on how much does happen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you run into a guy who went after his mom with a knife because apparently she's an alien wearing his mom's skin and his mom's been dead for years, type thing.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. And for him, it wasn't even that. He just was crazy. Like, that was my first arrest as a newbie cop. Won't ever forget your first on that one when it's that bad. It's some people just aren't there. That's all there is to it. Like, they don't have the emotions that most us do. And yeah. But let's go to this. Is one that actually kind of scares me because been in this spot. You know, somebody rings your doorbell delivering a package. He's even got the orange vest that, by the way, anybody can buy. In fact, I'm pretty sure you can buy them on Bishop Gun Barn as well for hunting.
I
So,
imagine so. They're everywhere.
yeah.
I think you can go to the local Walmart and pick one up, honestly.
So this guy, he's ballsy. Yeah.
I don't think this is for you.
He just shoves him, and that makes him run away. So when I said ballsy, was not talking about the crook. One sign of aggression, and screw you, I'm out of here.
I think that is something important to bring up, though, too, because, you know, a lot of these people that are willing to go out of their way and do these kinds of things, they have a predator's mindset. And typically what you run into with predators out in the wild, you know, bear or Mr. Wolf or lions and tigers, oh bear, oh my.
Oh my.
And what typically happens in that situation is they're looking for weak targets. You present a hard target, something that is going to be more challenging than it's worth to try to take advantage of or kill or do whatever have you with. You know, they're typically going to flee if you put up a good fight initially. If they're sane of mind, there are cases where that's not going to work, and you know that advice could potentially get you killed. And that's where it becomes important to have that situational awareness. You know, be studying people as you're out in the public. You know, like, is this guy who's coming up to your doorstep someone you've seen before? Have you gathered enough information about them potentially to know whether or not they are absolutely mentally deranged or not, if they've crossed that threshold of completely unaware of a threat? You know, these are all things to keep in mind in day-to-day life, and that's going to be huge on your situational awareness. And this is one of the first major steps into self-defense. You know, this is going to be how you're able to assess, like, oh, this alley looks sketchy as all hell. I know these X individuals frequent this area. I'm probably going to avoid that in the middle of the night by myself. You know, just little things like that can absolutely save your life and avoid you ever even having to be in this situation to begin with.
Avoid the fight if you can, but if not, like the guy right there, that homeowner, in all reality, he did it perfect. Because the guy already pulled a gun. He showed up at your place. You're trapped. What are you going to do? Slam the door? It's a gun. Now, granted, slamming the door might have been an option. Don't get me wrong. And that's where you have to kind of decide.
Split second decisions all the way around.
And that's what sucks is, let's say that guy did have a gun, like the homeowner had the gun, pulled it out, shot him before the other guy with the gun. Well, the judge or you're judged by the 8 or whatever. They decide, well, was your life actually in imminent harm? Common sense would say yes, but defense lawyers are pretty dang good at what they do. And if they add any doubt, if there's that doubt at all, guess what? They're innocent and you're guilty. One of those two. And that's where the insurance that we talked about before.
USCCA.
We're going to throw that one out there. In fact, we got to do an interview with him.
Yeah, we do.
And see if he wants to do something. You guys will have to let us know if that's something you guys would like to talk to an actual rep. He's a little bit newer in doing the rep side. He's been a member of theirs, I think, for a while, but it's almost vital now because you're going up against the state. You're going up against, it could even be higher than the state depending on the situation, but
well, even on
they have unlimited funds. They can fight you as long as they actually want to. Absolutely. As long as it helps their career, that's all that matters.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
And that's a whole spiel.
Oh, good Lord. And there were certain parts on his case that made it to where certain companies actually couldn't help him, or he wasn't actually a member, things like that. But he was lucky because it was high vis. And I actually watched a lot of that trial. How it even got to trial, I still don't understand, because watching the prosecution, they did so many things that I'm not a lawyer. And I do have some friends that are, One of them's very liberal, very anti-gun side. I was hoping he had watched it just because I wanted to throw a few things his way so I could get the other side's point of view. But I have a feeling even if he was found guilty, that judge would have thrown it out. Like, no, sorry, we're going to do it either a retrial or something, because there was a lot of shady things that happened during that. It was good to be a stay-at-home dad for a little while, going to school full-time online, because I had the time, the ability to do that as I was working on gunsmithing stuff. SDI, by the way. Not a sponsor. Wow. And there's the sticker. Good program if you want to learn. We'll get into beginning gunsmithing side because you're new. I've only been doing it for over about 2 years. There was a few lessons that I've learned on probably career routes I would take. SDI, love the school. I think it is one of the best out there. Probably would have went a different route personally, depending on your money too. That's the other thing. But we'll get into that another time.
Back to juries and things of the such, though. I mean, you're getting judged by 12 of your quote unquote peers. And, you know,
Yep.
with the tabulization, I guess, whatever, the way the gun community has been made so taboo in the mass populace of America kind of definitely plays a big role into that too, because, you know, if you get 6 of your jury members who are very active anti-gun, if for lack of a better term, or very uncomfortable with the idea of firearms in our country anyway, you know, you may find yourself in a really hot spot really quickly legally. And that's where insurance comes through. That's where, you know, the steps that you're going to be looking at leading up to this potential situation that you may be put in your lifetime, and absolutely the worst day of your life. Hope it never happens to you, but here you are, you're in court and you're dealing with people who already have a set kind of mindset. And it's a very common thing to come across no matter where you're at. In fact, we just had someone tell us why we didn't need AR-15s in the hands of civilians. Meanwhile, we're all sweating in our store looking at the biggest AR-10 in the world that we built. So, you know, it's that people like that are everywhere. And, you know, that's one of the beautiful things about our country is you are allowed to have your own mindset and your own free peace of mind, but it's going to lead to some conflicting opinions that may get you in trouble. And taking those steps to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can leading up to the situation and protect yourself is going to be what might save your ass in the courtroom one day.
Well, just like freedom of speech, it's not about what you need.
No.
I mean, that wasn't the point behind it. It's number one for me personally, you should pick whatever you're comfortable with. We're both vets. Of course, the AR is going to be the most comfortable because that's what we've used the most as well.
I don't need to rag on communism nearly as hard as I do, but First Amendment, fuck
But
you.
do I need to have internet to put my freedom of speech out there, or am I supposed to just have a marker and a poster? There is a difference. Like what we're talking, we're actually using YouTube right now, who completely hates what we do.
Oh yeah.
But number one, it brings them a lot of money, so that's why they're a little slow on just saying nothing gun related. But they're gonna make it tough so they can impress their friends. They're doing the limited amount that they can. Hopefully someday we get back away from that. Then again, gun market overall has been kind of slow. Maybe we need a Democrat to threaten guns again because they sell more guns than anybody else out there. Speaking of hounds, you can see his tail and his eyeball sticking up there. But he's apparently coming to visit and mad at me because I'm not going to go play with him right now. But the only way you can keep those rights is if you actually train and fight for it. Like it's not just about a whole lot of talk like what we're doing right now. It's about actually doing. Go out there. Like if you believe in your First Amendment rights as well, your third or fourth, your second's just as important. If they can take that away, they're gonna take the rest away sooner or later too. I mean, hate speech is violence. Sound familiar at all? That's weird. So if hate speech now is gone, what exactly was hate speech that entire time? Just the opposite opinion. The entire time, that's all it was. Believe in the science until the science doesn't believe in us, and we don't want you to actually look at that. I mean, but you know what? I don't agree with a lot that's said or done. It's still their right, but it's also my right to say I don't agree. If I can't say that part, if I can't put my opinion out, then you're not getting the whole story. That's all there is to it. All right. Transition. Wow, we're already almost at 45 minutes.
That went quick.
Well, I guess a lot of that was us trying to get set up. Going from work really quick and then setting all this stuff up to get live has been a pain. I'll go over that at the end. Let's just go to this video of, you got to trust your trainer. I don't care how much you paid them and how much on social media and everything else. They seem like a guru. And this guy maybe normally is really good at what he does. He did make a mistake. Unfortunately, we all make mistakes too. So I can't judge him as much. We'll get into somebody I can judge because it's been many, 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 many years and we'll judge him. But that's just because he asked for it many times. All right. Switch over to this here. This guy trying to teach revolvers, or just, I'm guessing it's a double action. I don't know if this is just a revolver class or just a shooting class, but showing the trigger. You can see this guy, I have a feeling he's already nervous about this instructor. Not sure why everybody's just holding hands up.
Just carries on like nothing happened.
Yeah. That's what this equals right here. Even though this is a whole different video. The instructor, obviously he has a semi-auto on his hip. I'm guessing that's actually what happened. And you know what? I'm going to replay that video because I just realized that I forgot to turn the sound back on to that. Remember when I was talking about how annoying this stuff is to set up? Because I kind of want you to hear what he was saying when this happened. So, sorry, we're going to do that again.
Bring your hand
Here we
underneath
go.
the trigger guard and roll
Now
your
you
palms
guys should
together.
have it.
So both your hands are going to sit on the left-hand side of the pistol. You're going to lock out both your arms. You're going to push with your right and pull with your left. Focus on that
Pause
front.
that again. Give me 1 second. I apologize. I'm watching videos and everything at the same time.
Side note, he is actually teaching them a semi-auto grip too. I've noticed how a lot of students in that had their thumbs really far rocked forward.
Oh, like that?
Yeah. Typically with your revolver grip, it's a little bit different.
Maybe it's
especially
good I'm not transitioning right.
especially because on your bigger caliber revolvers, right, the cylinder does not quite flush up and seal perfectly to the barrel because you can't, because the cylinder has to rotate on a revolver, right? So you punch that thumb out, and this is something that I even think about a lot too, because this is my favorite style of grip. You punch that thumb out like you would on a semi-auto pistol, and you might lose the tip of your thumb there because those pressures are going to come out between the barrel and the cylinder.
Like that.
Yep.
Where his other thumb is going to be straight forward.
Yeah, that's going to turn into hot dog meat real quick. So
yeah, and the revolver he's using, you don't have to worry as much. The small ones will get you.
Oh,
because there's no room for error. Like his thumb right here, that would be a problem.
And you'd feel that even on a 22. No matter the caliber.
It's crazy, the pressures. Now we're going to actually watch the video all over since I didn't realize the sound was on, and I do apologize.
Bring your
But
hand
here we go.
underneath the trigger guard and roll your palms together.
See
So
how
both your
this
hands are going to
gets
sit on the left-hand side
He's
of the pistol.
nervous around
You're
this
gonna lock
instructor
out
already.
both your
And I
arms.
don't know if
You're gonna
that's because
push
he
with your
doesn't know
right
much
and pull
about
with your
guns.
left. Focus on that front sight tip.
And he's kind of
Now, if you
acting
want,
like
on this
that.
44 Magnum, you can shoot it single action.
But the single action, the instructor just put a hole through the ceiling, almost hit himself in the face. And I do have links to all these videos, by the way, so you can rewatch them. But that's some scary stuff. Like,
Yeah, this is someone you're potentially trusting with your life, you know, as a civilian with little to no experience around guns. Seeing my instructor do that, I might be rethinking who my instructor is. And, you know, no
Yeah.
knocks to the guy. It's a simple mistake. And, you know, I'm sure that just about everybody out there has had some kind of negligent discharge or another. Like, for example, I was teaching one of my friends in law enforcement about the AR-15 that I had just built. And I was really excited because I just put that Magpul bad lever on it, which sends your bolt catch home, you know, from your trigger finger and everything. And the way that my mag catch release or my bolt catch release was mounted up and everything, it was catching every round, and it created an issue. And luckily enough, I kept my firearm pointed down range, but like I could not figure out why the hell it was basically a freaking bolt action. And you know, I sent off a round down range that I didn't mean to, right there, dead nuts in front of my cop friends. And I was like, well, shit.
I may or may not have shot a hole in the floor of our rental. Granted, many years ago when I was just really getting started outside of the military side. I was still in, but outside of the training I learned, it's one thing at a range, it's one thing where you're constantly in a certain safe location. At home, I made a mistake, and I'm going to leave it at that because it's that embarrassing and annoying. Granted, nobody got hurt, even though I had a person next to me, another dog right there, because what's one of those rules?
Know your target and what lies beyond it.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things, knowing where, always point in a direction, like a safe direction. I did, luckily.
I mean, that's just a point that, you know, we all make our mistakes, and the key is that
Never
you
again.
learn.
Oh yeah,
There
you want to
won't be a
learn.
second
Make
time.
a mistake.
So
follow the rules, because you know what, you might make one mistake, and on most of those rules, one mistake isn't what causes the issue. It's actually like throughout that whole video, you can name at least 2 rules broken every single time. Maybe the one that it was sitting on the table,
I would
because it
argue
was pointed that way.
any shooting that happens, at least 2 safety rules have been violated.
And that's what it takes, though.
Keep your finger straight and off the trigger till you're ready to fire, and never point your weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot, or at least 2 that are always violated every time there is an injury.
Treat every
involved.
weapon like it's loaded is a big one. Yeah. So it's now, okay, if you show up to a class like what we're about to show you, literally disarm your weapon, or like make sure it's unloaded, safe, put away, whatever it takes, and walk your ass out. This, by the looks at their vests and everything, we're going to transition over. I'm guessing Mexican. Policia.
That could be a European. That might be Spanish.
Yeah, okay. That would make sense. But
That might be Spanish.
I don't know what to say to this other than just, I don't know how many times you have to get shot to get this ballsy in front of a gun.
I have not found out yet.
Yep. I mean, really? Just, come on. And the way he's doing it, it's like he's trying to get shot.
Let's play Russian roulette with semi-automatics.
Another point, when you're wearing a vest, most vests don't have the side plates that we do in the military. His might, but it is very little amount of like actual coverage. When you get shot in the side, that's just, not good.
Yeah, Ben, if you're out there and you try to implement this into our course that we're doing, and you're listening right now, you're going to be that guy, not us. So.
Yeah, no. And if you do that, even on accident during the course, we will cease fire. You'll be kicked off the range like that.
Yeah. just a recipe for
I
disaster.
don't know
across the board.
exactly what to say. Like,
Trust your instructor, do your research. You know, there's a lot of guys out there, and I think this actually segues perfectly into another point that we have on this video in particular is, you know, just because someone was special operations or is law enforcement or whatever have you, whatever credentials that they provide to you on why you should listen to them, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to teach you anything good, because the tactics that we learned in the military, well, I'm very proud of my service. Semper Fi to my Marines out there, but not every Marine's a rifleman, and there are some shitbirds that make it through the cracks, hands down. Probably, arguably, myself included in that stack.
I was gonna
But,
say, I'm one in the Army side, so
you know, it
I
is
did
what it
20
is.
years. Those cracks were big.
Under no circumstances should you listen to me just because
Sounded horrible.
I was in the military. I missed that part entirely.
I
Actually.
said the cracks were big.
Oh, yeah, big
saying.
cracks.
Yeah. Sorry.
Jeez.
Apparently it was a Marine joke on that one, but
That one sailed right over the top of my head. I was on my tangent already. But yeah, just because someone tells you they're in the military doesn't mean they know what they're doing. And I think there are some things out there that are kind of geared predatorily towards, you know, people that don't understand that. And, you know, trust your instructor. Get someone that you know. Don't just take everything at face value because they were, you know, Delta Ranger, super hardcore badass tier 1 DevGru group, whatever have you. There's all kinds of frauds and phonies out there nowadays, and I'm not one to scream out stolen valor on just about anybody, but there's a lot of people out there that will take advantage. You see courses that are fitness instructors for 18 grand out there where, you know, you just go pay 18 grand to get absolutely shit on.
We had a
for
whole
72
conversation
hours.
today about that one.
Yeah.
We should have incorporated some of that, but that would have took a whole. That's a whole
That's
segment
a
by
whole
itself.
other video by itself. But
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, even talking about us, right? Both of us our first instinct is, hey, we need to go through some more training. We need to meet some more instructors that have been doing it a while, some that we can trust, and maybe even a couple, so we can find the areas that we trust before we're teaching others, right? Like we can teach a beginner course or something like that, very basic stuff. It's become common nature. But like me, I got 20 years, I got a few deployments, I graduated the law enforcement program. You were a Marine that did more stuff in your little time than a training side, at least, than
I did
I
lots
did.
of training.
But also you actually did the cop side. I just went through postgraduated, got the certificate, went full time on the military side instead. But
Better choice in my opinion, but
yeah, that's a whole nother area.
another video.
Yes. I want to make sure that if I do have a student, that I am teaching correctly, because all of this stuff, like just like our guns that we build for people, somebody's life could depend on that. We don't take that softly. It's not about the money side. In fact, all the money we would get from teaching people right for forever was just going to go back to the training side.
Yeah.
Like it's literally, that's what it's about. Make sure we have the equipment, not for us as much as for the students. Maybe there's a student, hey, let's try this holster. Hey, let's try this gun. Let's try this or that, or hey, I have some extra ammo here. We want people that when they leave our course, actually, if they have to use it, survive.
I would argue that I would get way more out of watching one of my students go out and become vastly proficient with a firearm, way more than I would stroking my own ego for a good 15 hours.
Even these videos, like that's why we tell you out there to criticize, because if there's something that we missed or something that is different from what we learned or researched or anything like that, I want to research it. I want to know. Let me know. Let's see what's out there. But this next video is going to be one. If you show up to one of our classes like this instructor actually did good. This is a trainer that went about it the correct way, but you're done. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Like this isn't an area to play with. Let's transition over. So you got Tweedledee and Tweedledum right here that have no idea what it is that they're holding. That tool that they're using can be used one way or another. This is an example.
It's a scary thing
It
to
is
watch.
not
He
for your
reacted
Instagram clout.
perfectly.
No.
He was quick, he was very professional, and he was very direct. He disarmed the gentleman, cleared the weapon, and
That
evacuated
right
him from
there.
the range. So after they had the incident, we took him in the lobby. We
And
recapped
you
with
can
them
even
what
see
rules
that
they broke at
instructor
our range,
struggling
and
not to
then
just
we
slam his
got their
face
stuff for
to the
them,
ground.
and then we banned them for life.
And there is a reasoning behind that. Like that one I struggle to watch, I'll admit. Because our owner actually had to kick 2 guys out of the store that we were at for a very similar type reason. They get a revolver, they're joking around, just all happy-go-lucky. And he actually did point the gun at his friend saying, oh, bang, bang, this one would work for you type mentality. And
Yeah.
as much as you want to even laugh at something like that, it's one thing if you're just bang, bang, I got you now. With an actual gun, yes, I know that gun's unloaded. Not loaded. I hope it's not in our store. But let's talk about the rules again.
It's not a tool.
Don't point at anything you don't want to destroy. Like, that's all there is to it. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. Hey, there's 2 rules those guys broke right there. They're on the shooting range with live ammo next to them. That gun, when he did rack it, it did seem that it was unloaded. But that was 2 rules right there, broke it. And his friend could have paid that price. I've watched a video even in a gun store, like when somebody like us hands you a gun in the gun store. Like, yeah, I feel that every gun we have is unloaded. There was a video where an employee handed a gun over to these 2 guys and they're messing with it. And he's holding it to his, like this, right next to him, and went to try the trigger and shot his friend.
I've watched you do this just even in the back where we actually build our guns and everything.
Oh.
Like we work on gunsmith, do all kinds of different repairs and everything, whatever have you. Anything we're doing, the second we pass stuff off to each other, one of the first things that we always do is rack that bolt.
Well, the pain on the guy that shot his friend, just because he assumed it's at a gun store, it got handed to me, and granted, it should have been unloaded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we get guns from our customers, we buy guns from people, things like that. The first thing we always do is clear it. Somehow that got missed, and you know what? You get busy. You have things happen, maybe. I don't know. It hasn't happened to us, but that doesn't mean we don't clear it. Before I hand you a gun from the counter, even though that same gun I've probably shown 7, 8 people, 10 people, who knows. And every time I clear it. That's my way of not only checking just in case a customer who last saw it dropped around in secretive or whatever. It's also me showing the person I'm about to hand it to, yes, I'm clearing it. 9 times out of 10, just about every time actually, the customer I hand it to does the exact same thing, and that's how it should be. Never, just because I say it's clear, if I hand him a firearm, he's gonna check it himself.
Unless you're Alec Baldwin.
Blanks versus real thing, yes. That's a whole nother area. You should always just double check. And guess what? Even if I cleared it, you cleared it after handing it to you. Guess what you don't do? You don't point it at anybody still. If it's a crowded store, that's where it always goes down. If you ever notice close quarters, the rifle, pistol pointed down. Rifle may be pointed straight up too, depending on what type of movements you're doing, things like that, or what position you're in your stack. There is a lot of areas, but the only common thing is it's not pointed at somebody. If you're stacked behind the guy and you're pointing at your weapon ready to go in at the back of the head of your friend, that might be an issue. Just saying. And so go back to trust your trainer as well. Like the person teaching you, This one, I'm only showing this short. Number one, it's not going to work. Like, you obviously whatsoever. This guy has probably gotten more videos about going to heaven than any other trainer out there. And if he is a joke, he is the best I've ever seen in my life, because you can't tell. And he's been doing this for so many years. I kind of want to do one of his trainings, but I hate giving him money for it, just to see if, like, holy crap, is he for real? Like, it's all right.
It's out there. It's extra special. We have a treat for you guys.
Let's dust this one off.
Oh,
all right.
Yep, one. Ow!
Yeah, let's
Then there's that.
all the way to the right, because I'm not gonna move my gun to you and then shoot you.
Yep, one.
So yeah, we're just gonna watch that a few times, and
That's good.
I watched The Matrix once. I know how this works. I can dodge the bullets. I'm faster than them.
oh good God. Now I will admit, like, during our firearms training, we were told don't put your finger in the trigger well. That was why, because he actually got. By the way, that hurts. Like,
Yeah, it does.
when you're trying to use like an airsoft or something as part of your training to see if you could shoot them, if they do it quick, pretty much every movement you go through, you're going to bend one way or the other. I mean, you're not going to turn the gun into you, so you're going to turn it outwards. That's what happens to your finger. It goes outwards with it as well. Granted, gun usually actually did go off almost every time. It was just maybe they missed, maybe they didn't, but to be as quick enough, which I am trying to remember actually if I found that video. We were watching one of a guy, he's a 7th or 10th degree black belt. I don't think I actually did that one. So
Well, it's kind of funny with the direction that he had her disarm him too. Like, his finger, and this is how somebody who is holding you at gunpoint would probably be, setting with a good firm grip.
Yeah.
They would probably have their finger inside the trigger well and everything. It's already set there to engage. If you try to bust that gun out the direction of their trigger finger, there's a good chance you're going to just set that off for them.
Yep.
And essentially shoot yourself. Maybe not in the foot, maybe worse, but
I mean, in order for any of those techniques to work, number one, you either got to be super fast. Number two, you're in a movie. Number three, there's a hell of a good distraction that happen. And that's the area you have to throw them off. Like, to me, option 3 is always your best bet, is wait for the opening, is that idea. Like, if some sound over to the right happens, guess what happens? They look. Doing something like that is about, because I am not fast enough to just be looking at you in the face and do it.
that adds into the whole OODA loop and everything.
Oh yeah.
Which, for any of those who aren't familiar, your brain, everything you do is going through 4 main steps. It's observe, orient, decide, and act. And while there are some pointers that he is teaching within his class that are good, resetting that OODA loop is as simple as, taking a side step, making any kind of movement, setting up anything that can distract or disorient your enemy. You automatically reset
clearing
that
a
OODA
room.
loop.
That's why they're
Yep.
always moving. That
Yep.
was yep. Never stand in the funnel of fire and all kinds of things.
So while his points may not be the worst in the world, I think the execution is piss poor. And I think that's what's important to keep an eye out for, is if you're starting to feel like your instructor may be full of shit, or they're selling you that, you're going to be John Wick by the end of their training, and it's probably too good to be true. And they're probably selling you a load of shit. So just keep an eye out. Get good instructors. Get people you trust. And that doesn't have to be us or anybody in particular, but go with what works for you the best, what's most comfortable for you, but make sure your source is reputable.
That's the key. Don't be afraid to, I don't feel comfortable with this one. Or biggest thing I'd always recommend is multiple trainings. Number one, don't always get trained by the same person, because then you're kind of learning the same thing over and over. It's more about, which would drive me nuts in the military,
Oh, yeah.
because it was always the same thing. Go through different trainers, see what works good for you. And I've done this a lot throughout my military career, is play dumb. Like, you don't know that. And the reason why is because every single time, too, and it never failed, there was always some little thing that you learned that you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you act like you already know it and go through it that way, guess what ends up happening? The instructor thinks you already know it too. And they're going to kind of bypass certain points and tricks because they don't want to talk down to you if they also know your experience. So I don't care if you're in an advanced course. They're going to assume you know certain things, but you will notice, even as you get into the advanced courses, that those instructors, at least the good ones, still kind of go through the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hit on those basics and certain things that they've learned and stuff like that, because even as I was going through a lot of my training, things changed throughout the years. Like, you'd go through that same training 2 years later, and you'll notice that a good portion of movements and things like that, him and me just talking,
Mm-hmm.
he's done it more recent than I have, of any like room clearing or things like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and you talked about pointing your gun oriented different when you go into a room. For me, I was always down low.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually even taught to hold by that magazine well. And there was a point of it, of having that grip, even if somebody grabbed your barrel type idea. But
Well, and that orientation even
nowadays,
changes
being stretched out seems to be the way to go.
Yeah.
So it's kind of,
that orientation will change from person to person within the stack even.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so like one person in the same platoon of people, you know, I mean, it's trained universally across the board so that everybody's doing the same thing and everybody can fill each role within a part of a team. But, you know, from part to part, from any one given training moment, my experience would be different than the guy next to me. Or,
Yeah.
you know, even running through our course that we set up eventually, like there's going to be some things that deviate slightly from even your course or your training and what I would teach, you know.
oh yeah.
And it's not that any way is right or wrong per se. It's just, it's different because we have different mindsets. We think about different things. So absolutely take everything you can from an instructor and apply it to your toolbox, but apply more to your toolbox from as many instructors as you can get a hold of, because there's always something to learn, even if it's what not to do.
You'd be amazed what you figure out by just re-practicing it yourself too. Something
Mhm.
you've learned, go practice it. And you'll realize that, you know what, this feels a little bit more comfortable this way. Holding your grip. Every instructor might have a slight different. You have, you know, your turbo bar or whatever you call it, even though all it does is help keep
Oh,
the
the gas
muzzle
pedal.
down. Gas pedal. Sorry, I call it turbo bar. But there's certain aspects, certain equipment out there that work better for some than others. Like, I always had the pistol grip that was like this on an AR. Well, now if you look at mine, it's more like this, to where I'm gripping. Like, I've never been a fan of just gripping the front.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, it just doesn't work very well. But having a little angled piece, which I would show you, but we're live and YouTube doesn't like me handling guns, that little bit of an angle is more comfortable for me, and I feel like I got a more solid grip overall. And it's just little things, and there's about 200 different types of attachments to go on your front for grip that all have a different way of looking at it, a different purpose, different feel, and you're gonna like some things more than others.
Well, even going from, you know, just that angle grip point that you had to my rifle, it's the same style grip, same
Mhm.
modified beer can grip or C grip, whatever have you out there. But instead of the angled grip, I have a short stop, and my ring finger up here and my pinky finger sit up butted against that short stop, and it
Mhm.
kind of makes like an L-shaped weird pattern with my hand. But I like that because I can really suck that rifle back up into my shoulder the way I want and use my bones to handle some of that recoil and then transition target to target fairly easily. And, you know, that's just a simple little thing,
Oh yeah,
like a $50 piece
it's
that
well
makes
worth it too.
a huge difference in, you know, from one delivery to the other.
Yep.
And it's not that one does it better than the other one or any way, shape, or form. It's just slight difference can make all the world a difference.
Oh yeah. And the only way you ever know that is by practice, by training. That was one area we actually never hit on. It just reminded me. There's a lot of different training equipment out there.
I
I'm
think
not
that's a
sure.
perfect segue into our Mantis system
Yep.
idea. Yep.
And I don't know if I really want to watch this whole video. Like I said, the links are down there. But there's a few different options out there that you can go with that really can help you out. This is one of them. So let's go ahead and transition over to it. And this is the Mantis. Hopefully we'll get them in the store here soon. And let me actually
For
unmute
500
that. There we go.
days.
Now you can hear them. So this Mantis is like a dry fire system. Now this video is him
Today
actually
we are
using it.
looking at the Mantis X system.
But
for
if
the
you
pistol.
go to their
So what's really cool
YouTube
about the
page,
Mantis X is that you
it
can
breaks
either
it down a
attach
lot better
the
than even how
module to
this
your
is.
Picatinny rail on your
And
pistol.
now he's using
or
the
you can
magazine
put it on
clip.
the
This
bottom
is
of the
if you
magazine.
don't have a
If
rail
you're
for
drawing
like a
from your holster,
flashlight
that
or
is.
something like that,
So
or maybe you
just
have a
slide
flashlight
this
on there you
here,
want to practice
and it
with.
clicks in place.
You can put
We're
this
just
on
gonna
your
push
magazine
the button
and you
on the
use your
bottom
phone.
of the module. I'm going to click connect on the
And
app.
So
So
I've
now
actually used this
we're
system
going
a
to
few
do
times.
what I usually do on all my dry fire stuff, which is
very
holster
intuitive
draw
in that
It actually,
analysis.
especially since
All right,
you
so
can
to
use
start
this
off,
live
we're
fire
going
too.
to do open training
That's
on
the
here.
cool part
It's
is
gonna
you
give
can
us a
actually
really
use
good
this at a
baseline
live
on
fire
what we
or
should
dry
probably
fire.
maybe train a little bit more.
Now
for
it
the
doesn't
day.
reset
All right.
your trigger or anything
go.
like that, but
I think the major win on this system is that it can catch stuff that even
55.1,
we as
pushing no
instructors
fall
can't.
here. The grip was
You know,
terrible on that
because
one.
there
so
are so
that kinda
many
makes
different
sense.
little things that can affect your shot within
It's a lot better.
any given time or
67
situation.
tightening grip.
This is going to be able to track
I
that
agree.
directly, whereas
like, well, notice possible causes, tighten grip.
Felt
Yep.
really good,
The
but it's
anticipated
giving me,
recoil on
it's
that
telling me that
you
was
can't
not
see
good.
that
Anticipating
as an instructor
recoil,
as well.
healing.
hell no.
Anticipating
So I,
recoil
when I
kind
did
of,
come
but
through,
not
I
really.
did
When you're
feel
going this
kind
fast,
of
you-
myself
I mean,
pushing
we're
it
talking.
down.
You do this a
And it
couple
does
hundred
tell you
times.
that in real
A lot
time,
of people,
which is
oh, you
pretty
shouldn't dry
incredible.
fire your weapon.
So
you know
let's
what?
try and
The
just
parts
do. We're
to
going to slow it
replace
down a little
what
bit. I think
could
we're
break.
Trying to go a little bit too fast
Well,
here.
worse.
And
the
we'll see
1,000
how we do.
dry fire plus before you had an issue.
So that was an
So-
85.9. So as you can see,
What, under
I need to
20
slow
bucks?
down
Yeah.
a little
And
bit.
well,
Even
I
though
mean,
my
even the
shot might be
rimfire
on
side, I know
target,
they're
my follow
worse
through,
for it,
my
and you
recoil
can
control
damage
probably
them.
wouldn't be there in live fire.
But every time you
try it again.
strike, like especially if you have a semi-auto, you realize
Terrible
you're out of ammo. Guess what?
draw.
That was a dry fire.
63.
How many times have you done that
breaking
with your
wrist up,
1022
and I
or one of these other
agree.
guns, or even your revolvers? How many times have you struck? Now, granted, it's
Tightening
hitting
grip.
empty brass on
Agree.
that one, which can maybe help a little bit, but it's still gonna do a lot
5.7.
of
That
the
was
same
way
things.
off. Here we
So.
go.
Another video, and I'm just gonna see if this will just pop
All right,
up
that
and
was a
start
lot
playing, and I'll
better.
make it as big as I can. This one, speaking
Perfect.
of
All
not
right.
really dry firing,
So
as
not my
much,
best performance, I
or
will say.
not
so I'm here at
That's
the
the
Cool
whole
Fire
fun
Place.
of dry fire, right?
With
We do
Johnny.
this
Johnny,
now
kind of
so we
explain
can
to me
analyze
exactly
how
what
we
is
do better.
what is the Cool
So
Fire
if we
system?
come
and how it
over
works?
that, right?
to
Cool
the
Fire
app,
system
we can
is
actually
a
see
recoil
he does a
in
really
time.
good job.
This
Or-
takes
I
place
love
in
his
factory
videos because
barrels
he's
and
actually a
barrel
lawyer
assembly
too,
and
so he
how
can
well
talk
we're
a lot
doing
about the legal
for
side.
dry fire training.
He's one of the U.S.
Coming up
Semi-automatic.
from the holster, the blue
so.
line, we can see that we're usually
But he also
coming
has a
up
whole nother
Don't
channel
develop,
just about
right
cars.
to where
training scars,
we
This
need
is the
to.
channel I think
slide.
they
And then
took
you
off
can
to
see
the
on
best
some of those
for
muscle
me.
wild
memory,
Our
shots
channel's
that
pretty
disrupt
we're
your
popular
sight
really
too.
picture,
searching for
reset your
that target.
trigger.
That's the
Hold
yellow
safely in the
line.
house for about
So
a
the
He's
minute.
one of those
yellow
guys you
searching
kinda
for
want
the
to
your
target,
gun, your
X is
sight,
where
your
we
trigger,
break,
your
guns,
grip.
and then
cars,
the red is
and just
after
And so how
the travel
how long
after we
does
break that shot.
one? Like, what's
So
the fueling
he's
what
average?
I'm
loving
going
what
to
he
do now
does.
is
CO2.
And he went from
reset.
somebody
CO2
that
from a
clean all
paint
that
tank
up,
or
and
an
then we're going
soda
to try
maker
again. I'm going
tank.
to slow down the time a
Fills
little
in
bit.
through the
Not
front,
going to push
vents
speed
out
as
the
much.
back,
Bell,
I'm
but
gonna
works
try
with
to
your
literally,
factory
he
magazine.
went out and shot one day
With,
with Fred,
training tap rack,
See how
and
that
well,
is.
now you can see what
Scores
happened.
change.
like that.
So
I
again,
think that's a
a little
little
bit slower
probably
speed,
cycling
so
over
probably a lot more
the
accurate.
around
better
firearms
scores
too.
is
You
what
know,
we're going
is
for here.
The whole
the
thing goes in
networking
as
aspect
fast
of it.
as you can field
There's
script a
somebody out
firearm.
there who knows more
77.
than you.
Everything else is
Pretty
live
Go
service
pick their
for
brains,
firearm.
and even if they
Nice
don't
and
know
carry
more
gun.
than
There's
you,
nothing you have to replace.
you know, they have an opposing
Like
degree.
32, too, but I had a bad grip.
By all
so I'll try
means,
again.
be respectful, be kind.
It goes in that
Pick
quick.
their brains. You don't have to agree with everything they're saying.
lot of this stuff
76.
is also
About 3
just
seconds
that
on the CO2 tank.
fear that you hear from
What's
the
What's
media
really
side.
cool
Oh,
is
yeah.
It makes
you
you
have
so
that
scared
screen
that
on,
And then how
where
many
it's
shots?
I'm
analyzing
surrounded by
where
guns in
shot
this
You're
is
gonna
room.
get on
taken.
that
I don't
mostly
think
If
any
I'm
of them are
actually
going to
coming
jump
up
off the
We
wall
shoot,
right
get
there
you a
when you
mag
shoot.
full of shots.
breaking the
Whatever
shot,
this
they're
mag's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
hold,
the
you're gonna
person.
expect about
And if you're that
14,
scared,
15
that's
on
when you
this
get
kid.
hurt too. Like,
Some of
calm
our
down,
kids,
take
So
a
in
breather.
real time,
It's
I
just
pull
like
up
swinging a
an
hammer.
actual
How many times have
Gets
you
a
smashed
whole
your
shot
thumb?
to the mag
It
full
freaking
because
hurts.
a lot more
I mean,
got a
people have
huge
been killed by
bull barrel.
hammers.
upper 70s
A lot
here.
more
That's where your
than
reservoir
rifles.
is.
There's certain rifles
okay,
that they're scared of.
And so what's the price point?
That one not so
We're looking
much.
at 365 is
for the,
a barrel kit.
dog
So
kill
that's your barrel,
ratio.
your recoil
We're
is
going to start again.
92.
We're already over an hour here.
See,
So,
That's
I
our
came
basic.
up right to the
The
target.
laser add-on.
Did it
this
need
system's
to
pretty
find-
cool.
at the target, you can see
He
that
talks
no
about how you
variation,
only
really
get
just kind of pushed in
about a
X
magazine full.
formation
Give you
every
more
Is really what
capacity,
their
things
goal
like
is
that.
with them. Some you get more because it's a bigger, thicker barrel. But
84.
because
Again, we
it's
can
actually
see
the
the
barrel
blue
that you
line
put
right
in
to
that's
where we
holding
need
the
to.
gun.
Not a lot of
There's
fishing.
liquid.
At the
Shot
end of
in
this
the
video,
CO2,
and
so
I
when you
could
aim
probably
it
fast
out,
forward
when
some,
up here, you
but
get
man,
that
it looks like he shoots like 20
okay,
times
so
out of the same
57.
gun. So,
Tried to push a little too
but
much.
this is kind of what you're doing. No more resetting your slide, trying to get that dry
76.
fire
This is the
in.
most
So
fun you
here
can
we
have
go.
now.
Just
It really
That's
is.
10 more shots.
Quite frankly, you
As
could
you can
have
see,
a fun game with
after
this. Like,
that
can you imagine
last
putting the
round,
Mantis on
All right,
this
so
system?
now
scores
Oh,
more
yeah.
consistent.
That would
back
be
up,
a
you'll
good
learn
way to
to
go.
do it.
Right
That's
there.
good.
Well, and the Mantis ones
Awesome
are
feedback,
already
see how
reset
they
especially
make
when
it
dry
for you,
fire.
Do I need
A
to
lot
do
of
it?
times you
Well,
don't
you
get
don't
that
get the
feedback
recoil.
because we always think,
Okay, gotcha.
feel.
my dot was
This
on
would be a
target,
better
had a good
system.
trigger precedence, see a lot of
gun,
switching
that's
and dot.
your holster.
But this allows
So your
us to see
holster,
how we
your
present
sight,
it to the
your
target, how
trigger.
we present it to our
Really see
intended
where your
target,
resets
how we
at
fish for
all
that
the
target,
shots are like.
and then what we did after that to
That's
see
true.
how
And
well
you
we're
see him
actually
going to
doing,
town,
how
having a good old
it's a
time.
little bit better analysis
All right.
of how
We're going to mute that and transition back to us here. But it's really, there is, and I mean, this is 2 out of 50, 60. So, and I think I just had this other video playing behind it. Whoops. So I apologize if you couldn't hear much in there. Hopefully you could just hear us more than anything. But it's, there is a lot of options out there. Even if you're nervous about going to instructor, where to get trained, go to your local gun stores. I mean, that is probably your best bet. Call them up, find out who they know is a trainer. Because I know in our area, like, just went to one store talking to them about their facility because they do a lot of airsoft. Great way to train as well. They've got 3 trainers lined up. You go to another one, they've got the shooting simulator. Talk to their USCCA trainer as well quite a bit. We're going to be working with him to get going on the instructor stuff, and we're going to help each other out and kind of be on the same boat is the idea. But they've got numerous trainers. I don't know about Hux and Chubbuck, if what they have. I don't know for sure if they have much. I know us 2 are going to be doing some training with us, but we're working with other stores. Like, this isn't, training is something that goes across the board. Like, I don't care if a random instructor calls me, hey, I got too big of a class, can you come step in, kind of be a range safety? Not a problem. I don't care about the pay side. I want people trained. I want people learning. Now, if he's going to ask me to do some kind of more advanced level, you're going to pay me. But for beginners, things of that nature, just getting into the sport, I want people safe. I don't want you too scared to ask to where you end up hurting yourself or somebody else. Like, you got to find somebody you can trust, go through that, get her done. But that's kind of where I want to end the night.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot.
Absolutely. Come into our store, ask us any question. There is no such thing as a stupid question in our eyes. Well, maybe a few, but I won't judge you too harshly. I'll be nice. And we'll give you the best advice that we can. And, you can either take it at face value or deeper than that. That is entirely up to you. I will never be the first person to tell you that I am an expert on anything. The entire knowledge that I have, more so than even the trainings that I got lucky enough to do, comes from my love of this hobby. It comes from, the research that I've done on my own personal time, the different ways that, I think about what would happen if type stuff. And then that leads to research question. And I find out, legality of this said scenario or whatever have you. It comes from a passion. It doesn't come from my time in the military or even my time in the law enforcement. Yes, those things help. Yes, I have knowledge from those things. It's not the end all be all. And you don't have to be those types of people to get the knowledge and training to make yourself proficient at defending yourself and your family, because realistically, that is what your job is.
That's the biggest area, is just being able to defend yourself, like to protect yourself. No offense, I'm not going to be going to the gym and non-stop just doing combative trainings, should I? Yeah, I mean, anybody
I'm a third level
should
Jedi black belt jujitsu sorcerer.
Yeah. No matter what, you'll find somebody bigger, stronger than you. Gun is an equalizer. That's all it is. It's a tool in the toolbox. Learn it just like you would learn how you cut vegetables in the kitchen. Like, it's one of those things where you should just learn that tool, and you got to find a way to learn that tool. But speaking of training, kind of more of a fun video we'll leave you with. So we're going to pretty much sign off and leave this video. This is a classic, maybe for me because I'm old, but yeah, how about some more Mel Gibson, you know? Woo! He knows his guns.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming and joining us.
Yeah, I want to say thank you. And please like, subscribe. Like I said, leave those comments. Kind of help us out as we grow. I'm learning behind the computer here. I'm poor boy. I don't have a third person sitting over here being able to control the computer and put things up as I just click my fingers type idea. So I do appreciate the patience in that area as I figure everything out. And we'll see you guys next week. We're going to be pushing back the time, probably the 7, I think is what we agreed on, just because we don't get off work till 6. I'm usually leaving work a little bit early, trying to get stuff set up. I can't guarantee I can always do that. So
makes it nice for you guys who are getting home and eating dinner too.
Yeah, there's that too. Like my dinner, I've already got a message saying it's getting nice and cold and the dog wants to eat it. So I better get up there and eat. But you guys have a good one. I very much appreciate the ones that are coming back consistently watching. I do see that. And I appreciate also the new subscribers. We have gotten some. So thank you. And you guys, you have a good one.
Qualification will begin at 08. All right, baby, come to Roger. Come on. Cinnamon. Cinnamon. Read them and weep. What do you do? Sleep with that thing on your pillow?
I would if I slept.
Step back, baby. Let me show you what an old man can do. Just warming up. Just warming up.
Officer White, please pick up line 3. Officer White, pick up line...
Watch carefully.
Ceasefire on number 7, number 8. Weapons in safe position. Downrange target.
Hey, look at that, will you? Not bad for an old man.
Okay, step aside, old man.
Lieutenant Evans, report to the range commander. Lieutenant Evans, report to the range commander. Sergeant Dennis, call your watch captain. Sergeant Dennis, call your watch captain, please.
Have a nice day.